Oh my God.
Oh my God, Kate.
Jesus.
That is a $9,000 bass drum.
We used to be kids. Now we're not. Something happened in between. This is the Broken Youth Club.
It's funny, in the 9-day visit that we got out of my dad, we had to record 2 regular episodes and a bonus episode and have the live thing today.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, when I told him that we needed to record tonight, he was like, didn't you just record on Tuesday? And it's like, yeah, but that was for a bonus thing. Like, it's not. And my dad was like, yeah, it's like kind of a commitment for Logan, huh? It's like a lot of work. And he was really just asking, like, to be curious. But I was like, no, it's not normally like this heavy.
Just one of those timing things.
Yeah. And like bad timing on our end. Not necessarily because he was in town, because we didn't know he was going to be in town until like kind of last minute. But just like, we don't normally want to push the bonus episode that late. We just, going through it. Yeah. But yeah, so I just... we want to try to get this episode, done so that we can try to spend a little bit of time. My mom actually bought a board game for us to play with the kids.
What's it called again?
It's called the Uzzle, like puzzle, but without the P.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like there's like these different blocks and then you flip over a card and you try to recreate the picture on the card with the blocks, and whoever does that first, like, wins the round. So she thought that, like, all of us could play it. Okay. And then she ordered this cute little, like, candy tower thing.
Like Arlo and Simon can play it too, or just us 4?
I think she's hoping that Simon and Arlo could play it too, or that they might be able to, like, partner up with a parent and then still play. Yeah. And then she got this little candy tower, and she was hoping that we could do it while Dad was here. But the candy tower didn't get here until yesterday. Mm-hmm. And then today we had the live, and then this. And my dad and I went and got lunch together, which was nice. But it just felt like the day just very quickly got away from us. So
it was fun though. We should talk about that a little bit. The tree decorating party today.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's so funny. Like, I knew, my eyes are already fucking watering. I knew that it was going to be sweet. Yeah. Just because, like, when we first kind of announced it and first got the PO box, the first couple times we checked, it was like, there was like one thing in there and then like one more thing in there. And so I was like, oh, maybe it'll just be a few. Yeah. And that's totally fine. We appreciate anything that anybody sends. Mm-hmm. But for us to end up getting like, I think maybe like 15-ish packages, 10 to 15.
That. More than 10 for sure.
I was just like, it's just so sweet. And to see the like...
And there might be some on the way still. I know some people had said they might like miss the deadline. So if that is the case, we'll keep checking up through Christmas and keep adding them.
Yeah, and we'll open them, at the start of the episodes and, let you know who sent what. And I want to get pictures of everything and put it up on social so people can see truly how freaking cute everything is that has been sent in.
Oh, they're so cool.
But I just felt like I was just such a wreck the whole time because for whatever reason, I didn't anticipate people writing notes when they were sending these things in either. And so like a lot of the notes were really sweet.
It didn't cross my mind either. I thought we would just, get ornaments, but yeah.
Apparently I'm just a fucking mess today.
No, it was very, we talked for a second about how, well, I mentioned that it was, this is more than I've ever done with like any of my friend groups really for like a Christmas exchange type of thing.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know.
Well, and I was proud of the kids. We had we had a whole conversation with Oliver before it started because the thought of bringing Ollie in on a live thing.
Yeah, we had a few conversations.
Anybody that's got a 9, almost 10-year-old, surely knows where we're coming from. Where it's like, I'm not really sure what you're going to say, and this is live, and I can't undo.
Ollie just saying weird things to say that, which it was, is a kid thing to do.
Yeah,
we give a certain amount of rope on that, but today it was like, hey, don't.
Please don't.
That thing you literally just said, don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all you did really well. They all did really well.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's cute.
Yeah, that was good. Arlo's dance skills, man.
Mm-hmm.
That kid's...
I think they really liked the idea of being able to see, because I have a few monitors here. And so they were looking at a couple different versions of themselves.
Oh, yeah.
A delayed version and a real-time version.
Yeah. So if you happen to miss it, the video is still on YouTube. It'll be on there it's forever, right? Yeah. For forever.
It's
if you want to check out Arlo's dance skills, it's at the end of the live. But man,
yeah, they're
all just so funny.
Yeah.
And I was proud of Oliver because sometimes Ollie doesn't have a lot of patience with the littles, but did a good job today.
Mm-hmm.
So
very sweet.
Yeah, it went better than I anticipated. On that.
I'd like to do more stuff like this. That's not necessarily I don't want to have to wait for Christmas to do something fun like this again. We'll have to have some other ideas pop along.
Well, maybe similar to how we do the tree upstairs, where we kind of keep it, you know, and we've been the idea of cycling through different celebrations, different holidays, whatever. So maybe after Christmas, we'll do we'll leave the tree up, but do a Valentine's Day tree instead. And you guys could send in your Valentines. I used to love the Valentine's Day parties and buying them and picking them out and stuff. And that's a thing we don't get to do anymore as adults, you know? We do little things for each other, but I want Valentines from other people.
I specifically remember one Valentine's Day. I'm trying to remember what grade I was at, maybe third grade. But the power had gone out at home, and you know how you get the list of all the students in your class. And my mom had just brought home, I think she actually gave me a couple to choose from, but I don't even remember which ones they were. But I remember sitting at the table by candlelight, filling these out with my mom, and taking the little stickers and wrapping them around the edge and putting a little piece of candy in the middle or whatever it was. There is just a innocence to that. It'd be fun to do that again. I
was always overthinking which Valentines to give to who. Yeah,
I don't want them to think I like them that much.
Yeah. Or the kids where it's I don't like them literally at all, and there's not anything in here that just says you're all right.
You're pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so maybe we'll do that so that we can kind of keep it alive. I did have somebody reach out and ask if we were going to keep the P.O. box. And I think it made me pay for the year, or it was just such a better deal to pay for the whole year. But we paid for a whole year. So we've got that thing for 12 months.
I was literally thinking about that earlier of I wonder what else we'll do with this, if it'd be worth keeping it or... So,
well,
cool.
We already paid for it. So
Good to know.
I don't think there's anything going back on that. But
yeah.
Also, a side note, P.O. boxes are so much more expensive than I thought they were.
Especially for how small they are.
I mean, my gosh. Yeah.
Or at least the one we got. I know they have different sizes.
We got a small one because the big ones were $400 for the year. I'm damn. Yeah. Okay. Jesus.
Well, we got to make it up somewhere.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, we were thinking, we were chatting. We did a small drive, just the two of us. Not because my dad isn't willing to watch the kids, but I think it's just my own mom guilt, daughter guilt, where it's hey, they're kind of a lot and you're kind of old. And but so I was hey, we're just gonna run and grab. We got fast food for the kids for dinner, and I needed to get some milk from the store. And we were talking about what we wanted to talk about for the podcast tonight, and of course it's the holidays and we want to kind of reference that, but also we're thinking about I can remember a few people from my childhood that I really only would ever see at the holidays, and it was kind of that was what I liked. I only wanted to see them as little as possible. And just kind of how hard that is to juggle the joy that the holidays can bring, but also the anxiety of having to be around certain people, or maybe feeling obligated to be around people. And when we're adults, we can make those choices for ourselves. And not even that it's easy to not be around people for the holidays, because we've experienced that with your family when we took the break and not having a holiday with them.
Yeah.
Which I know was hard. I think at the time harder on you than it was on me because I was just so like ready for the break.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily get to make those choices of like not wanting to be around certain people.
Yeah.
And again, makes me think of like that email that we had gotten about the person that had the family member that had assaulted them, and then she still had to be around them for like holidays and stuff, and how hard that is.
Yeah.
So I think we might just talk a bit about that today.
Yeah, well, because I brought up this idea of how it can be this weird feeling of having both a very happy memory and a very sad memory about a time or an event.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you know, not to get too detailed, which I never will on this show. If anybody wants, like, well, I don't even say that. I'll stop myself there. I have a very holiday themed memory when it comes to like my first sexual assault. And I'm trying to be very careful because I actually didn't think through of like, I'm trying not to still out this person for like my comfort. Again, I know we've gone through that, but it was a thing where a lot of family members, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
You know, this part of the family, this part of the family, this part of the family.
Yeah.
I know you can tell me I'm trying to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we all got together at this cabin that had like multiple rooms with a center, basically area with a handful of tables and a big fireplace and couches. And we would play the games. I remember that's where I really fell in love with Pictionary and charades. And the snow was coming. It was like out of a movie, like a Hallmark movie. That's the way I remember it anyway. And it snowed enough for us to build like a legit 6-foot snowman with all of us out there. And there was even this really cool time, because I think we did it a couple years, but if it was 1 year, and I'm just putting it all together, there was this building that I think was like a cafeteria for all these other cabins that were up in the area. So it was basically like a restaurant cafeteria type thing. And somehow we had gotten our way in, and we just like had a ball the afternoon, just us, me, my brother, and a handful of others. And we got into like, I think we got into some serious trouble actually, because we got into like the cereals and like all the food in the back in the kitchen, and I think we made a little bit of a mess. But forming those memories with some of those people, it's like you don't get those very often in life. And I think when you look back, I think everybody has those memories that, you know, they just stick. But in the midst of all that, it literally a 90-second stretch of all that, like, was the first time like my life had changed, you know, for good. Not for good, sorry, forever. And so there is this sense of like, it's weird to have what I said at the beginning, a very happy memory about my first trauma, like, but not related to the trauma. It's like all the stuff around the trauma. And so it's like it gets buried in this magic of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so luckily I was thinking about it on the drive home of like, did it really ever affect me to where I felt like it ruined the holidays for me? And luckily I don't think so. There's never really been a time where I've been like, I've had an aversion to like big get-togethers because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, over time, obviously we talked about the uncomfortableness of like what you said, having to be near this person at another event or function. Luckily we didn't do, I say luckily on that front, we didn't do too many of those, going forward, because I don't know how that would have progressed if that was like annual meetup, but yeah, I don't know. That's basically all I wanted to like say on that.
Yeah.
Was, yeah. How do you separate trauma that happens to you in a very fun and happy time?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other people who know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to even just give a hypothetical out of respect for anyone, but
yeah.
I don't know. I've never really thought about it in depth in that angle of it being tied to Christmas or building snowmen or playing games, and then this thing happens, and then you're right back into playing games, which I think was what it was. Because this is as transparent as I will be on it. I went into the bathroom and was just a little kid, like going to the bathroom, and then this person followed me in. Yeah. And like that's where it started.
Yeah.
So but then yeah, just so quick, and then you're back to playing Pictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're building a snowman with this person 8 hours late. Like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't have more to say on that.
I don't feel like I know what to say either.
Yeah. You just told me, like, because I was I'm having this aversion to, like, because I'm not a professional. Like, we're not. This is just talking. I don't want to, like, inadvertently be doing damage here by dragging up these, deep things. So I was kind of talking to you in the car about, like, I'll touch on it maybe, but you're like, I don't ever want to tell you should talk about something more, but also, there are people who listen that connect with, what I say or my story or whatever. And not that that I have to feel this duty or responsibility. I understand. Right. I understand. But you were kind of saying that it's important, and
and I was really saying it more on the topic of because you were like, do you want to, like, it would be like it could be a heavier episode. Like, do you want to do a heavier episode? And I think for me, it's like, I'm never ever going to tell you need to talk about something you don't want to talk about or you're not ready to talk about, no matter what. Like, your mental health is like my number one priority all the time. I just think, like, if the reason to not talk about something is because you don't want an episode to be heavy, like, it is a heavy podcast. And I think that we try really hard to sprinkle in some not heavy stuff or some things that are more totally, like, joy based, like the live today. Like, that was really fun and sweet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I think that there are a lot of people that have probably these feelings of, like, I don't know how to feel about the holidays because I do love them, but they also carry some trauma with me too. And so it was more on the aspect of, like, well, I don't want you to avoid talking about something because you don't want an episode to feel heavy, when, like, we started a heavy podcast because it felt like there needed to be a space for people to feel okay to talk about that stuff when they want to. Yeah. So if you're feeling like you want to talk about stuff, I want you to feel like you have the space to do that without worrying about it being a heavy episode. But also, you never ever have to talk about things that you aren't feeling comfortable about.
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity to just speak honestly about the just transparently about the expectations of. Sorry, I know I'm stumbling a little bit. I'm trying to gather all my thoughts. Sometimes I want to make sure we avoid feeling like these are contrived. Like, we've already talked through our talking points before, and then we're going to talk about them and the thing, and then it doesn't feel like it's you and I just sitting on the couch and talking, and so I actually said to you, it's like, how many husbands and wives sit down to talk about what they're going to talk about before they talk about it. And not that's what we've been doing either. I want to be very clear on that from the get-go, I want it to be, we literally will have a quick 5-minute conversation about a general touch point. Like, do you have a general idea of what you're feeling? So it's just stress around the holiday, it didn't go. Mm-hmm. Or again, old, funny holiday stories, go. And as soon as we find a topic that's we feel like we can talk about for a while, we're like, great, we'll do that tonight. But we don't go into it then, because I do want to have a genuine, honest conversation now. But I forget how I was trying to tie that to what we were just talking about. But yeah, I want to ride the line of being professional and making sure we're not just rambling, which I know, ironically, I am now. But I think it's important that you hear what I'm trying to get to. But I also don't want it to be help. You got to help me.
Yeah. Our biggest concern is to sit down and not have any, we haven't talked about it all. And then it's well, now the camera's on and we're like, okay, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah,
and figure it out and stumble through and oh, fuck, we don't have anything else to say on that topic. And we just started. So, but also we don't want to have a really heavy conversation in the car and then 20 minutes later have it again. Mm-hmm. That almost feels like the reality TV shows where it's dude, I broke up with this girl a week ago, but now I have to redo it in front of the cameras and pretend I haven't done it before. So it's trying to find that balance of us being a married couple that also need to be able to have conversations sometimes that are just for us, mm-hmm. but also sometimes having conversations that are leading into things. And then we're like, oh, fuck, we should stop talking mm-hmm. about this mm-hmm. because this feels like a thing that we should say on the podcast.
Yeah.
Something's
someone jumped
going
real
on
hard upstairs.
But yeah, we don't want to rehab conversations that are heavy in the car and then have them again and 20 minutes later.
And then just feel like we're getting through bullet points or...
Yeah.
But then I also, I don't want it to be I'm not getting into the heavy stuff. I think that's what I was trying to get it to. I don't want to avoid getting into that stuff because it's not oh, well, people are more uncomfortable to listen to at work, so I better give them something that's, a little more... Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been wanting to have them a little more peppy lately just because I feel like there's just something in my heart that's it's people need also nice stuff too.
Yeah.
While they're at work. And it's do I want to just give people doom and gloom all the time? And that's how it feels.
But I don't feel like we're doing that. I feel like a lot of times if we have a heavy episode, we still, we're humans and sometimes you're having heavy days. And if people don't, if they're not in a place to listen to something heavy, there's literally millions of other podcasts they could put on that day.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure that we're not just giving people
sad.
Yeah, all of that and not any happiness to come to and community. I feel even in any other healthy situation, you would want to sprinkle in fun activities and team building and all that.
Fun activities sending
exactly.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. I'm talking myself through my fears.
Yeah.
I just when it comes to, hey, what do you think you want to talk about tonight? Which again, going back to my point a minute ago, is a thing that I'm annoyed that I kind of have to do anyway. That's the egg you have to break to do this, because again, the alternative is being unprofessional and a lot of dead air and you being what the fuck are they doing? Mm-hmm. So yeah, normally we just sit down and we'll cut off the first 5 or 10 minutes of whatever we're just rambling through to get going. But then beyond that, it's we want to make sure that we're at least giving you some sort of conversation. Even when I'm rambling and trying to gather my thoughts, it's we're still in something that you're engaged with. We're not just, all right, well, what next? You know? And I hope we never do that or it never comes off like that, because I don't think we do. I feel like I'm pretty keen to that. But I just have these fears of not giving people what they want to come here to get. The serotonin boost, but also the, emotional release or whatever it is. And the fear of someone tuning in and it being like, oh, you know what I mean? And then I go back to, but then I try not to care about that because I enjoy just talking to you anyway. So it's like, that's always what I land back to. Is like, but in the end, it doesn't matter because I like just doing this.
Yeah.
I see you smiling over there, and like I know you want to interject. So go ahead. Yeah. I need to get a drink anyway.
No, I just I think as thankful as I am that we have people that listen to the podcast and care and are in the Facebook group and send emails and all of that, like ultimately we did kind of start this to talk through our stuff and kind of where we were at. And so, we've kind of said from the beginning, like we want this to be a space for people that feel really safe, but if nobody listens, we would still do it because it feels good for us to do that.
Yeah.
And to get that release. And that's, I encourage people that are listening to this to try to have conversations like this with people that they feel safe with, if listening to us helps people have a little jumping off point to talk to someone else or, hey, can you listen to this episode? I really want to chat with you about something, but can you listen to how these people are talking to each other about it first? Yeah. So, I think for me, that's where sometimes I almost feel a little, I don't want to say frustrated because that carries like such a negative, but when you come to me and you're like, man, but that feels like that would be a heavy topic or a heavy episode. I'm like,
that's the point.
That's literally what this is.
I know.
We're supposed to kind of help people talk through that stuff, and we sprinkle in the funnies and the jokes and the ha-has with the lunch table talks.
I just hope we're doing that enough. Is I think my fear.
Well, weigh in, y'all, because Logan's really having an internal battle on this, apparently. So, But yeah, all the way back to the original thought for the episode today. I am really thankful that it didn't totally taint the holiday for you, because it's funny, like I mentioned in the car, we've never talked about that. Like I didn't know that the first instance happened at like a holiday get together
until today.
Literally until today. You've never told me that.
Really? Oh, I thought I had.
No, you've been obviously like more forthcoming with me on like more of the details and stuff, but never like that first initial encounter. But for me, I've always known you to be somebody that dreams of the idea of having a big family get together at the holidays.
That's true.
And it's like, it feels like you're wanting to recreate all of the magic without the trauma. Because that's been such a thing for you always. You've always wanted to get everyone together, specifically at Christmas, specifically with the snow.
I didn't think about that.
To play games and to build snowmen and go sledding and do all of the things. So it's almost like maybe it's like you're still fighting for that magic and maybe trying to create a new memory around everybody getting together and not having the sadder parts of it.
Maybe you should think about going in to be a therapist.
Shut the fuck up.
Damn it. But, you made me cry because I didn't. That's true. I think we've talked about it here, but that's like my, like,
you've said that literally.
When I was a kid, that was my ultimate dream is to, have a big barn with like stable type, like you convert all the horse stables into rooms, and then there's this giant center area with couches and a big Christmas tree, like a 20-foot Christmas. I mean, a big one. Yeah. And a couple fireplaces, and the adults are all over here doing their fun adult things. All the kids are back doing whatever, playing video games or board games and it's just like a very Thomas Kincaid type of painting in my brain, you know? And I hope we get that on some level. I don't know what that maybe, we'll have our own kids to go on and have their kids, and we have an opportunity to expand our family and, see what happens with your sister and, and hopefully, with the family that I still have back home, family you still have back home, there's opportunities in the future to, make new traditions. Which I think is another thing we could probably go into for a little bit, is the idea of building new traditions as we get older. But go ahead.
Well, and I think again, like on the topic of creating new memories that aren't linked to trauma anymore. I think that's another reason why we started this show, and going back to like our parenting styles and how we're doing things differently. It's like as adults, we have the control to try and live the rest of our lives without the traumatizing experiences that we lived through in the years when we didn't have the control for that. We didn't have a say in how people talked to us or how people treated us or what people chose to do to us. We didn't have choices in that. Mm-hmm. So now that we're older, we can raise our kids the way that we wish that we would have maybe been raised, or we can give them the experiences or the Christmases or the get-togethers where they're in safe environments and they get to have the life that like we should have had too, the life that you should have had too. So I don't know. I hope that anybody that's listening that maybe has had some not great experiences tied to the holidays, I hope that them, just like you, kind of can recognize that you can have those conflicting feelings about something being a happy time and also a sad thing happening during it. But like as adults, we get to recreate those experiences how we wish they would have been for us.
Yeah.
Assuming you're in a safe and stable place. And if you're not, I hope that you're able to reach out to people that feel safe, and get the help to get yourself in a place where you can, have a little more control in that. But yeah, I think that was kind of the point of the whole show, right? Like us talking about the ways that we were doing things differently and why we were doing them differently, or why certain things made us feel icky and we didn't want to do them anymore. And it all just ties back to that. We get to decide now.
Yeah.
So it's like powerful, but also scary.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like we don't have all of the tools that we need. But we're working on it. We're gathering them up.
Man, I'd love to because moving out here away from family, obviously we don't have as many functions to go to. So we have to create our own functions. But I'm thinking back to my childhood and comparing it to Oliver's. And I do have a little bit of guilt there of, one of the upsides to being a kid from a divorced home. And I think anybody who is from a divorced home will go yeah, he's right. Is the amount of Thanksgiving and Christmases you get to go to.
Yeah.
Especially, I guess, my family's, because when I was younger at least, we would do extended family get-togethers as well. So it's not only would you have the aunts and uncles and the grandma's house that you would go to, and your parents' different houses, but then we would have these almost like family reunion things where all those cousins and these cousins and those cousins would come.
Yeah.
And we would rent, a building of some kind, and there would be, dozens and dozens of us.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't exist anymore in our families. It doesn't feel like it that type of get together has kind of died out.
Which I think is a pros and cons, right? There's a lot of times where it's man, I wish that my kids could have that experience of going and playing with cousins and all of that. But I also look back on a lot of that stuff and I'm but man, a lot of times, I don't know if when I left those events, even as a little kid, I thought like, well, that was more fun than anything else.
Yeah, it's true. I think for me, it was always the hopefulness. Like it was like right before you got there, right when you got there, you got to take your coat off and get your food and see like your cousins for the first time or old, aunts and uncles or whatever.
Yeah, but
I get what you're saying.
But like,
it is a pros and cons thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody had, an uncle that was not very nice or made them uncomfortable, or a cousin that was bigger. And I mean, I remember I had one cousin that one year they pinned me to the ground and tickled me literally until I peed my pants. That wasn't fun. That wasn't a fun experience for me. Our kids will never have to experience that for as long as we're not living around other family, so it's a bummer that they don't get to have that time with our family, the family members that we would love for them to have the time with.
Yeah.
But they also can't be hurt by that family either. Whether it's hurt feelings or a joke that doesn't fucking feel funny or, whatever. It's like we get to have that kind of
what I wish were a common thing. And I remember seeing like a documentary on this where there was, I think it started in England and then they tried it in the US and it maybe just didn't take on as well, or maybe it's still growing. I don't know. I haven't checked up in a while, but there's essentially this idea of a church for people who grew up in the church or used to go to church and then have left, but are missing all the fundamental like brain chemistry things of church, of the community, the singing the songs, the getting together and hugging people on Sundays, all that stuff. Except it's just completely void of reading from scripture or anything. They sing like Bon Jovi songs if they want to sing together or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's going to church, void of religion.
Yeah.
I kind of want that'd be so fun to find something like that when it came to traditions. Like I know I'm basically just describing a friend group.
Man, it'd be really fun to have some fucking friends, huh?
That'd be fucking cool. If I could find people who cared about me enough to like light up when I walked into the room and
like their kids were like nice to our kids and like played together. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, you know what I'm saying, but like an intentional community of people who like purposefully get together but there's like their families get together. I know it exists. I know that's a thing. In fact, we had a gentleman invite us to some like backyard get together that they do like once a month, which I'd still like to try to get to. I forgot about
that. Yeah, we should actually do that.
And that it kind of sounds like what I'm describing. So I'm probably just sounding stupid now by saying like, well, here's your opportunity literally right here. But yeah, I just want like a couple shades shy of a commune. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go back to my own house. I don't want anybody to like bother you or me.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have people who like, we live to share our family's joy with each other on a regular basis. But I don't want to have to like join a church to do that. Because that's just not me. If that is, it's just not us.
Yeah, we're just not religious. And power to you if you are. I love that for you.
But I'll sing the fuck out of a song with you.
But yeah,
I will go to a potluck. I will do all the like a chaperone an event for I do crave that kind of community, and I think growing up as a kid who was in the church, like. Again, pros and cons. There are pros to having a big body of people who make you feel welcome every week, if not multiple times a week in my case.
Yeah.
And so it felt like I do get that as a former church-going person. I can get how, especially the more you go, if you're like a Sunday person, then you go on like, Wednesday or Thursday nights for, Bible study, and then maybe even another event for youth group or whatever it is. You can kind of get in this brain sense, at least I did for a little bit, where it's like, oh, I went to school and like those were people.
Yeah.
And then I had my family and then my church family. Like that was like, we're on this side of the fence, and then the world and school people and other, like they're on that side of it. At least that's the way I thought about it. Just be very clear on that. But yeah, you have this sense of like, these people, like they kind of got my back. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's a long-winded way of me saying like, I do crave that. And so I hope that maybe we can get to a point in society where that is more common to just have, I mean like a building. Like I'm not just talking about, hey, yeah, a group of us, we get together, you know, every Sunday, which is a great start. I want to find something like that too, obviously. But I'm talking like an organization where we can go and there's basketball goals and there's a kitchen and there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a place for us all to actually congregate. I know I'm describing a church.
Don't tell us it's a church.
There's a couple things in that building I would take out, like, you know, like the podium we speak from, we can get rid of that. And, you know, the pews, we'll get those out of there, but we can keep.
Or anyone that makes me feel like shit about a choice I make.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Please just leave me alone.
The judgmental stuff that we're used to. Yeah. I know that's not everywhere. I understand. I'm just saying, for me personally, I do miss that stuff.
Yeah.
And I do think that's important. I think that's why those types of gathering places have existed for centuries, is because people, I think humans do crave a sense of community with people around them. And I know I've been a little open about that recently, about like the isolationism that I've been feeling out here. It's just so fucking hard to be like, hey, you want to be my fucking friend? Like I'm 30, almost 3 now. It's just such a weird concept because I know we've mentioned this before. I've always made my friends situationally. It's never been like a ask a girl out situation. It's always just you found yourself becoming friends with people because you were hanging around with them.
Yeah.
But when I work and then come home and I don't have any family out here to like do other things with, I do it with you or the kids. There's like just not a whole lot of opportunity for me to have those interactions with people.
Yeah. Or like we don't have family out here to leave the kids with so that we can do the things with other adults that we want to do. Because we do still like, you know, thankfully, luckily, we do actually like hanging out with each other. So if we have available time and we could make friends, we would love to do that together rather than one of us have to stay behind with the kids.
Yeah.
But like, I wish that we had family out here that we could leave the kids with so that we know they're with people that they love, that also those people love our kids too. And it's not just like a babysitter that I'm paying, because I don't mind to pay a babysitter at all. I'm happy to do it. But like, they don't fucking care about my kids. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if nothing else, the gal that we had that worked for us with the kids for 2 years and a year and a half of that straight, you know, and she was seemingly willing to just drop the kids like they meant nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and to be fair, and thankfully, the kids have never asked about her. Not one fucking time.
Yeah.
But I think that also says like they didn't care about her like that. And I would love for the kids to have people here that they care about like that and that care about them too. And it makes it really hard because like if your job was like totally remote, like if tomorrow morning you woke up and they were like, hey, we're going to take all of this online and you can work remote wherever you want to work from. There's the part of me that's like, well, man, I would love to like move back to Indiana so that our family could help us with the kids and be there for them. There's the other part of me that's like, but I fucking love our house. And like, how fortunate do I fucking feel that we were even able to buy this and the hopes that we had when we bought it. You know, I love this house. I wish that I don't want to live in Indiana. You know, I don't like the weather there. But like, it's not realistic that everybody's going to move here. You know, why would they do that? And this is expensive, you know, it's expensive to live out here. And
how do you build intentional family? I think is
because every time that we try to make relationships out here, whether it's me with people that I meet or you with coworkers that end up not being good people. Not talking about your current coworker, but previous one. We love the current coworker, but the previous one sucked ass. It sucks because it's like everyone that we have met that we've tried to like have those relationships with have just kind of shown themselves to like not be who we wanted them to be. I am really fortunate that, I mean, I do have one friend out here that I adore, and her kids are so sweet, and one of them is great friends with Oliver, and but it's different, but it's hard because like she is a person that works a lot. You know what I mean? Like she has like a real solid, good job. And so it's like, I can't just be like, hey, you want to like adopt my kids and really love them and care for them and show up to all their things. And, you know, I'll love your kids and show up to all of their, you know, it's just, how do you even have that conversation and then hope that people will continue to show up? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're both kind of rambling a lot, but I am just kind of stuck.
No, I actually think
I'm stuck on this. Like, I do not, with any bit of me, want to live in Indiana at all.
Right. But you want to be near family.
I hate the climate.
It's not, it's the family that we're missing.
But like, damn, dude, I think that I just so aggressively underestimated what it was going to be like to raise the kids on our own. And they only get to see our family a few times a year, and it's almost always out here. So then like, it kills me when Arlo wakes up and he's like, hey, I want to go to grandma's house today. And I'm like, well, grandma's house is 30 hours away from here. So I couldn't even get you there today if I wanted to. And what does that mean? You know, we can't. Or like, I remember a couple years ago when we drove up to scout the location for the first camp for Bad Magic.
Yeah, right.
And it was in like the woods of Coeur d'Alene. It was a beautiful location. But we took the kids with us one day because we just needed to take some measurements, and I didn't have a sitter, so we just brought them with us. And we pulled into the drive for the camp, and there were a bunch of trees over it. And Arlo looked up from his iPad, went, we're at grandma's house, because that's what their driveway looks like. Yeah. And that killed me because I knew he was thinking we were going to stop the car and open it up, and like my mom was going to be there and my dad was going to be there, and Arlo was going to get to like run around outside and play with their dogs or play on their play set that my parents refinished, the play set that was like, you know, falling apart from the time I was a little kid. They like, you know, replaced boards and refinished it when Ollie was little, and had all of these thoughts of what that would look like, you know, that they would have Ollie over a lot, and any other kids that we would have. And now like Arlo so desperately wants that, you know, and he just can't have it. Oh, that was disgusting. right into the mic. Oh my God.
No, I get it. Yeah.
It's just hard. It's really hard because I do not want to live in Indiana, and it's not even a choice for us to live in Indiana right now because of your job. Sure. But like, if anything would change with the location of your position, it's like, what do you give up the house that you love, or the part of the country you live in that you love, to be closer to family, because that's important too. Yeah. But then that also puts you next to all of the family, and maybe all of the family isn't what you were thinking, but now you're there with all of them. And what does that mean? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think anybody that has moved away,
there's struggles with, it's away really from family hard. And your hometown. Cause I moved so much growing up, but I moved like within 20 or 30 miles of the same place at any move, you know, and it was all within the same spot. So I've, in essence, have a hometown. I have familiar things from my whole life. But like you say, pros and cons. Like if we were to ever go back on any level, even if that's in even 15 years, we decide we're going to go back just because, I would have concerns about seeing certain people. Yeah. You know what I mean? or those certain people seeing my kids.
Right.
You know, so that is a whole nother, there are some trade-offs too. Like, and I'm not trying to like compare them as being, you know, equal or whatever, but I get it. It is, yeah, it's hard. It's really fucking hard to move away from family and have little ones. And yeah, the guilt that comes along with that, on top of the actual homesickness, melancholy, whatever you want to describe it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm not trying to necessarily replace that, but I am trying to eventually maybe try to find something new. You know, are there a group of people who want to just get together and walk around the mall a few times? You know, like I'm ready in that aspect to be fucking 85 years old. You know, like I would love to have a mall walking group where we meet once a week. You know, we don't have to buy anything. You just walk around.
Well, we actually do have to buy Annie Ann's pretzels for the walk around. Okay.
That is that falls under the per diem category and not an actual purchase, self-purchase, right?
Sure.
Because no, I will hopefully find something like that someday. Maybe that'll be some parents through the school system once, you know, Oliver spends some more time there, and then maybe Arlo, you know, whenever that happens. Why are you laughing? Because
it just made me think of so Oliver, such a character, has gotten into it with a couple of the neighborhood kids, and it's like, can you please, just for the love, please don't, because right now there's a lot of neighborhood kids that live around us, and some of them, their parents seem like they could be cool, and that could have been a thing for us, but then you go off and the most recent one, I don't even know where Ollie gets this shit from, but apparently one of the kids on the bus that lives right down the street from us, Ollie says that kid was saying that Ollie's art wasn't good or something like that. Ollie was drawing and the kid insulted Oliver's artwork. So Oliver was like, well, you look like a potato from the 1800s. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that means or where Ollie got that diss from. I can't imagine.
Yeah. In the back of my head, though, I was like, I want to see this kid because I bet, knowing Oliver, it's probably pretty good insult. Like,
yeah.
Somehow, I bet it actually kind of made sense.
Yeah. Probably.
But hey.
But also.
Kid was being mean. That's all I'll say.
But also, the kid didn't like it. All right. They didn't think that shit was funny. Ollie thought they were being funny. This kid didn't think so. This kid grabs Ollie's arm, and then I get a call from the principal where she has to repeat what Oliver said to this kid because this kid, put their hands on Ollie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I found out that it was a kid on the bus and a kid that, in fact, I can see their house from our house, like, Ollie, can we please stop it with the neighborhood kids, though?
Yeah.
Like, my gosh, can you chill? Because we're never going to make any fucking friends because you're going to piss their kids off before we can even meet them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Like, oh my gosh, Can
I throw something out there with all that I said? I want to throw something out there that I think people will actually resonate with probably the most.
Okay.
I'm just looking for, this is where I will ask for advice.
From me?
From anyone
people.
Listening.
Okay.
Yeah. So write in or hit us on the socials, whatever. I know there are a lot of people who feel all the things I just said. I want to do this. I want to do this. And then they say that. And then they remember, well, I do have very limited time, and I love sitting on the couch watching like movies with my family. And then you think about, okay, when would I go do this? So how do you reconcile the fact that like you want all that, but then you also don't want to physically do that sometimes? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this fantasy of doing it. Or is it one of those things that's like, no, you just got to do it a few times before you realize, no, that's really actually what you want to do. And then you won't want to sit on the couch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or does that make sense, what I just said?
Or like the neighbor that invited us to the Halloween party and also has invited us to a birthday party that we did go down to meet them or whatever. But rather than talk and hang out and mingle with the adults that we are pretty sure we actually would vibe with, we chased the kids around.
Yep.
And barely spoke to anyone.
Yeah.
Like when does that kind of like social awkwardness go away? Because I don't know how to do that either.
Yeah. Because we are. We literally were in the back corner being like, is this good enough? Is this like socializing enough?
We found a kid's football and just started tossing that with each other.
And then the kid was like, hey, can I have my football back?
Yeah. I was like, hey, actually, that's mine. Can I?
Yeah, sure, like, kid. Here.
And then we made a swift exit and let Ollie just stay down there for the rest of the day.
To be fair, and I'm just going to say this. This is my opinion. If you are a person who is known for being a person to throw parties, who has a gazebo with 2 flat screen TVs because you have that many sports on at a time, multiple grills, clearly entertaining a lot, so you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of people over. What I would do if I was in that situation, if I had either A, new neighbors to the neighborhood, or B, new people to this like group of a lot of people, I would make some sort of in with at least a couple people. Like, hey, let me introduce you over here to like my friend Sally. Like, you'd love her, right?
Yeah.
I would at least do that a couple times. It wouldn't be like, oh, hey, like a wave of the spatula, and then like that's it. Because, and I know it's not necessarily, I'm not trying to say it's this person's fault that I didn't. I'm just saying, like, as a person,
just saying maybe if he would have acted different, I would have.
I'm saying from my perspective, knowing how because I don't think the person who hosted this party, I don't even think that crosses mind, because that's not the type of person he is.
Yeah.
But you and I are. So I'm just saying if I were to throw a party, I would be thinking more of a person like me who is terrible at being like, hey guys, what you up to?
Yeah.
You know,
my name's Logan.
I also like sports sometimes. You know, like how do you, I'm bad at interjecting like that. But once you get me going, I talk just like this with you and we'll have a great conversation. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just bad at getting going. So I think that played a little bit on that day of like, yeah, we got there and there was a bunch of people already like in their circles engaging, and I wasn't going to jump in and be like, yeah, so like the Packers, huh? You know, like I'm just not. I'm going to, oh, Arlo needs to jump on the trampoline, so we got to go over here. And we just did that, which I still had fun, you know?
Yeah.
And again, to cover all of what I just said, I want to be careful. The guy seems super nice and has been very welcoming to have Oliver over a bunch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, no blame there at all. I'm just saying, like, that
we're awkward and we need some help sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes I would need an introduction. So if anybody does like throwing parties out there, it is more outgoing.
Please invite us, but also introduce us to like one person.
We are the people who it's like what was it where it was like, oh, what are these brownies? I guess I'll try one. You know, like that attitude of like, it's not going to, you can come over and hang out with us. It's not a big deal. You don't have to pretend to be like, oh, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I had a thought. I was trying to run with it. We're weird. Just invite us.
Yes. I think for me, it's like, I just don't want to interrupt your conversation or make you uncomfortable by me coming up and being like, hey, can I hang out with you?
There's always a fear too of like it feeling like, hey, I don't want to dominate the conversation at any point. So I'm going to err on the side of caution. So I won't even interject. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I feel like you've seen that where it's like 4 people are talking and then one guy's like, hey, what's up guys? And then they're all like, hey, to guy, what's up? You know, and then I never want to be that guy.
You're like awkwardly on the outside of the circle, but you don't know how to squeeze your way.
They won't open their shoulders quite enough. You're like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go over here then.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Cool. Dads I'll never talk to again.
Yeah.
Not saying that happened here. No.
There have been times where it's like you'll start a conversation or you'll like start to tell a story. And then the other person, it's like they just start talking over and you're like, oh, nobody was listening to what I was just saying. You want to like crawl in a hole and just fucking die. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. You do this calculation of how many people actually did hear versus how many people didn't hear. And is it worth trying to say again?
Yes. Oh my God. That's the worst.
So anyway, as I was saying.
Help.
No, you'll never find me in that situation. You will quickly find me being like, well, I'm out. Was that cake over there?
Oh my God.
Fake a phone call. That's absolutely me.
Literally. But okay, well, we need to wrap up because we gotta get upstairs. We gotta play the game before bedtime. My dad's flight rudely is his flight starts boarding at 4:50 in the morning, and the airport is 30 minutes away from us. So mommy's gotta get up early, unfortunately. But we gotta get upstairs and play that game before bedtime.
Okay.
So, a big fucking thank you. I can't talk about it too much or I will cry again. And big thank you to everybody that sent in ornaments. If anybody still wants to send one in and you just ran out of time or you got busy or whatever, like I said, that P.O. box is going to be there for the next 12 months. So, I mean, I'm real bad at getting shit anywhere on time. So,
we'll probably, if I'm being honest, have our decorations up past.
Oh, they're going to be up for a while. Yeah. They're going to be up for a while. So, feel free to still send those in if you want to. Anything that we receive from this point on, we'll just open up on the next episode and you put it up. I'm so thankful to everybody that sent things in though. So sweet. If you are not in the Facebook group yet, would love to see you in there. It's just the Broken Youth Club on Facebook. It's a private group. Everybody's so sweet, so great in there. Cannot say enough nice things about everybody in there. If you have a story you'd like to submit, you can do that at mylife@brokennewthclub.com. We do still have the hotline, right? Or yes, the hotline's still there. So we'll have that phone number attached so you can call in if you would prefer to do that. We are going to make some changes to the Patreon going into the new year. Just like we've been chatting through stuff. We're not changing any of the like benefits or anything like that. But we think we're just going to kind of like restructure some things. So we'll give more info on that whenever.
In your favor.
Yes. In your favor. Yes. We just want to make that like a more accessible space for people. So we will talk more about that when we have those details kind of like finalized. Mm-hmm. Anything else that I've missed?
No, I think, just full transparency. I think the best way, we haven't said anything about this in a while. I still don't know how much like reviews and anything really help much, but what really does help is if there is an episode you've resonated with or a specific topic or whatever, if there's someone you trust to like share things like a show like this with, like that is the biggest thing that helps us, is telling friends about our show. Mm-hmm. and sharing it with them, either sharing an episode or just having them check it out, whatever it is, because organic growth, it doesn't matter how cool we make this show. It doesn't how much money we could pump into this show and like make the set better or get better microphones or script, having more video, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Even if we put, that's a whole nother episode we can go into, is like my frustrations with how much commercialism is put into the social media landscape, even though like that's literally what part of what I do. It's frustrating to play that game with something, and I'd rather just do this. I want to do so much more of this and less of all that other shit. And the way to do that, to not care as much like of what our social reach is doing or whatever, is if the show is growing by word of mouth and people spreading the word about it.
Yeah. In saying that, if you haven't left a review, we would love to see that.
Yeah,
also.
That too. Yeah,
those are just those are just like fun to read. Like they're so sweet. Y'all are so nice. I was the most afraid about reviews. It was the thing that wanted me to say no to the podcast because I was afraid people were going to be mean. And we like literally haven't had a single mean one. So if you like the show and you haven't left a review yet, sometimes I just like go through and reread them when I'm feeling shitty about myself. So feel free to leave a review because those just like brighten our days. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, obviously we want this to go as well as it possibly can. And it means so much to us to have the community that we have. And we just want more people to feel like they can be part of that too. Because we know from experience in our real lives, it's hard to find that in the real physical world that you live in. Yeah. So even just having that online community means a lot. So yeah, if you like the show, if you've stuck around with us up to this point and you want to bring in any more of your people, we'd love to see it. Love to have them. But yeah. Otherwise, I think we're good. So stumble on out. We shall.
Let's go play some games.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
See you next week.